What you're about to see is a series of videos taken during my 2 separate fit sessions at the Boulder Center for Sports Medicine with Dr. Andy Pruitt and Chief Biomechanist Sean Madsen. The first session was done back on November 17th, after some initial meetings with Dr. Pruitt. During that first session, we adjusted the saddle height down by nearly a centimeter, moved my saddle forward a centimeter, and raised the bars by 0.5 centimeters. My second session took place on April 3rd. In the first set of videos, you can see side by side the before video on the left and the after video on the right. The difference in my riding position is fairly obvious. On the right, you can see that my body is no longer rocking back and forth, my hips are still, and my position is slightly more upright. This is a result of the saddle changes and the handlebar raising. After that initial session, I began a rigorous course of physical therapy with Tammy Dick, a licensed physical therapist at Boulder Center for Sports Medicine and one of the architects of the specialized body geometry fit system. After months of stretching and other exercises to increase the flexibility of my hamstrings and strengthen my core, you can see in this next pair of clips the difference between the after video of November on the left and the new video taken on April 3rd. Between November and April, no changes were made to the bicycle or to the wattage output on the trainer. The position on the bike after physical therapy appears much the same as it was in November. Let's take a look at some computer imaging to see if that's in fact the case. In this first set, we are looking down from the top. The patterns that appear are my knees, right knee in red, left knee in black. During my first session, my right knee was making what is called a reverse parenthesis pattern, putting pressure on the inside of my knee, the exact location of my injury. Here, you can see the right knee, while still wobbling a bit, is at least relatively straight up and down. In the video on the right, taken on April 3rd, you can see that the pattern of my knee is even tighter than it was after the initial changes made back in November. In the next clip, you can see the pattern of my knees from the front. The one on the left is from November, and on the right is from April. My right knee, in red, is relatively straight on the vertical plane. Not as tight as the left knee, but it was a huge improvement from my initial position. In the video on the right, from April, the right knee is even tighter than before and tracks almost perfectly up and down. Remember, there have been no changes to the bike. This is strictly from physical therapy. The left knee still, however, bows out slightly in this position. In the next set, we see the side view. The one on the left is from November, and the one on the right is from April. The red is my right knee, and the black is my left. The knees are in very close alignment throughout the pedal stroke. In the April clip, there is even more tightening of the knees, and the patterns are closer to overlapping now as a result of the physical therapy. This next set of clips was taken after additional changes were made during my April fit session. All of the before clips on the left are after physical therapy, and the after clips on the right are a result of the new changes made during the April session. The first change made in April was intended to reduce the obvious rounding of my lower back. Riding with a rounded back like I was effectively removes my glutes from the pedal stroke, forcing my hamstrings to do most of the work, which of course affects my pes anzarine tendinitis directly. With my original saddle, a Physique Arione, I was unable to tilt my pelvis forward without feeling of numbness, so I was forced to round my back. Now, it's important to note that I was never uncomfortable or sore as a result of the saddle. It was always comfortable, but comfort, while extremely important in a saddle, doesn't necessarily mean it's the best one for your overall riding position. As a result, Sean Madsen suggested I try a saddle with a cutout that would allow me to tilt my pelvis forward. So, after measuring the width of my sits bones, we went with a specialized toupee in a 143 width. In this first video, we can see the difference with the new saddle. The new saddle allowed me to tilt my pelvis forward without any discomfort or numbing at all, which, as you can see, results in a much flatter back. And that allows me to now engage my glutes while pedaling, giving me much more power and taking some of the pressure off of my hamstring and knee. As a result of tilting my pelvis, that forced my body to lengthen a little bit, and so we added an additional 10 millimeters and went from a 100 millimeter stem to a 110. The side view in this next clip shows continued improvement on the tracking of my knees. They are more overlapped than in any previous position with this new saddle. The front position, however, shows some slight regression in my knee position. While the right knee is relatively tight in its pattern, it has gone back to the reverse parenthesis pattern that I had initially. And this is demonstrated even more clearly in this next clip when we can see it from the top. Dr. Pruitt suggested that one of the reasons for this regression was that my pedal stance was too narrow. My feet were not in alignment with my knees. He attributed this to the width of my cranks. I'm currently riding Campagnolo record cranks, which are among the most narrow of all professional level crank sets, and they're also quite expensive. So the idea of changing cranks, for me, was out of the question. My only other option was to extend the width of my pedals, and the only company that currently makes professional quality pedals with varying axle lengths is Speedplay. Pruitt installed a set of plus 1/4 inch Speedplay Zeros, which increases the width of my stance by 1/4 inch on each side, and changed the cleats on my shoes, and we gave the new position another try with the computer data capture. The following clip shows my knees from above. On the left is with the new saddle and my look pedals. On the right is with the new saddle and my speed plays. As you can see, both knees are tracking straighter. Still a slight reverse parenthesis pattern, but a clear improvement over the look pedals. I've been riding for 2 weeks now in this new position with an S-Works Toupee saddle, a longer stem, and Speedplay Zeros, which were provided for this column by Speedplay at no charge. While I'm still off from where I was initially last year, the new position seems to have taken a great deal of pressure off my hamstring and consequently my knee. I'm hopeful that by the end of June, I'll be back close to 100%. I'll keep you posted on my progress. Thanks for reading.